All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful, yet honestly, most misunderstood ideas in business: how value is really built inside a customer's mind. We're going to go way beyond just persuasion and look at the actual architecture of an offer that's truly irresistible. So yeah, let's dive in. Just think about that for a second. Right now, someone, somewhere, is looking at the thing you built, the thing you poured your heart and soul into, and they're weighing it against a number on a screen. And in their head, there's this one single, powerful question that's going to decide everything that happens next.
Why this much? Why should I even care when I've got 10 other tabs open all promising me the world? And the big one, why should I trust you? For the longest time, the answer was just to add more, right? More features, more bonuses, just more stuff. But that approach, well, it often creates an even bigger problem.
And it's called value anarchy. It's this weird, counterintuitive idea that by piling on more and more to make your offer seem valuable, you can accidentally make it feel cheap, confusing, and just overwhelming. You end up committing the ultimate conversion sin. You've made your elegant solution look like a messy pile in a discount bin.
So that brings us to the central paradox we really have to unpack here. That old marketing playbook, the one that screamed more is better, is just fundamentally broken in the world we live in now. And to get why, we need to look at how our brains actually figure out what something's worth.
So on the left, you've got what most offers look like, right? A long, messy list of things. The software, the course, the templates, just all thrown into one big pile. The idea is to overwhelm with value, but what you actually get is clutter, and our brains are wired to just ignore clutter. But on the right, that's different. That's a deliberate sequence. See, information without any order is just noise. A real solution, though, that requires architecture.
And this, right here, is the crucial point. Your customer isn't buying a pile of your features. They are, without even realizing it, buying the gap between what they give, the price, and what they get, the outcome, the relief. They're buying the math. And if you can't build at least a 10-to-1 perceived value ratio before you even show them the price, you don't really have an offer, you have a plea.
So, how in the world did we get here? This whole shift from just listing benefits to meticulously architecting worth? Well, it wasn't really a choice. It was a necessity, something born out of a crisis that totally changed the game. So back in the mid-2020s, we basically hit a wall. It was this huge choice paradox crisis. I mean, think about it. Every piece of software promised to be your all-in-one solution. Every service had a nearly identical menu of benefits. The digital shelf was just overflowing, and standing out became almost impossible. And this led to something dangerous: feature fatigue. When every product has 100 features, the customer just stops counting. It all blurs into white noise, and their eyes just drift to the only thing left that's easy to compare: the price. And that started this brutal race to the bottom. But right at that moment, the smartest brands had a huge realization. They figured out their only real advantage wasn't more, it was different. It was creating this powerful, undeniable sense of contrast. And just like that, a new discipline was born: the valuation architect. This wasn't your typical marketer. This was someone who got that a price isn't just a number. It's the final note in a carefully composed story. Okay, so how does this actually work inside a customer's head? Let's pop the hood and look at the actual mechanism that powers these mathematically irresistible offers. And this isn't some simple checklist. It's a 4-stage mental engine, and it's designed to walk a customer all the way from skepticism to certainty. Think of this whole thing like a mental slide. You got to get the customer moving, and you don't start with your offer. You start with their pain. So, stage 1 is the high water anchor. This is where you frame the whole conversation by showing the true, often staggering cost of solving their problem the hard way. Then, stage 2 is the atomic core. Here you introduce your solution, not as just another option, but as the smarter, more elegant path. Stage 3, the modular multiplier. This is where you add strategic bonuses that prove you've thought through their entire journey. And only then, after you've built this mountain of perceived value, do you get to stage 4, the contrast reveal. And at that point, the price feels less like a cost and more like a total relief. Okay, let's make this real. The high water anchor, it isn't your price, it's the price of the alternative. It's what a high-end consultant would cost, or a custom-built software, or just the cost of years of painful trial and error. You are setting the absolute top of the market in their mind. You're establishing the impossible standard. And that number? It frames the entire rest of the conversation. And now for the reveal. After anchoring the value conversation way up at 100 grand, showing the actual price of, say, $997, it creates this massive psychological gap. See, this isn't a discount, it's a revelation. The force this creates is what we call value momentum. It's like this invisible physics that just accelerates a customer's decision, taking them from "I'm not sure" to "I absolutely have to have this" in a heartbeat. This is the real secret to how premium brands can justify their prices in a world that's always screaming for cheaper.
So we know how the engine works, but to really master this, we have to understand why it works. And this isn't about little tricks or manipulation, it's about plugging into a fundamental, hardwired principle of how our brains work.
And it's called the contrast principle. Our brains are basically comparison machines. We literally cannot figure out the value of something in isolation. Is this room quiet? Well, compared to what? A library or a rock concert? Is this car fast? Compared to a bicycle or a fighter jet? We need a frame of reference. By starting your sequence with that high-cost anchor, you are providing that frame. You're taking control of the comparison instead of just leaving it up to chance.
And this illustrates it perfectly. On the left, a product with a $2,000 price tag. For most of us, that's a big deal. The immediate reaction is friction, hesitation, that little tightening in your chest. Now look to the right. It's the exact same product for the exact same price. But because it's been anchored against a previous value of $10,000, the psychological meaning of $2,000 has completely changed. It doesn't feel like an expense anymore. It feels like a win. It feels like you just got let in on a secret. It feels like a gift. You didn't change the product, you didn't change the price, you changed the context. And in doing that, you changed the math in their brain.
So here's the bottom line. Your customers are not just buying your product. They are buying the feeling of getting a winning deal. They're buying arbitrage, the chance to get something for way less than what it feels like it's worth. In a world full of uncertainty, a well-sequenced offer gives them the mathematical proof they need to feel smart and confident. It gives them permission to say yes.
So far, we've dug into the theory and the psychology. Now, let's get practical. Let's move from the why to the how. This is the framework for becoming a valuation architect yourself, for turning a random collection of features into a mathematical inevitability. There are 3 core steps. First, you audit the alternative. This means you stop looking at what your competitors charge and you start obsessively calculating the true, painful cost of your customer not solving this problem. What is their pain actually costing them? In dollars, in wasted time, in stress. That number, that painful reality, that's your anchor. Second, you engineer the atomic core. This is all about discipline. You have to resist that urge to list every single feature. Instead, you strip it all away and present the one single most powerful part of your solution that solves their biggest nightmare. And third, and this is where the real masters play, you architect friction killers. You anticipate the next problem your solution creates and you solve it for them in advance. So let's walk through this friction killer logic with an example. Imagine your core offer is a piece of software that gives amazing investment advice, helps people grow their wealth. That's a powerful solution, right? But any solution, no matter how great it is, creates its own set of secondary problems. And there it is. The second a customer starts winning with your software, a new little anxiety pops into their head. This is great, but now I'm going to have a huge tax bill. What do I do about that? That's the inherent friction. A standard marketer just ignores this. An architect sees it coming. And this is what takes an offer from just good to truly irresistible. A friction killer bonus isn't some random ebook you had lying around. It is a precision tool engineered to solve the very next problem your customer is about to have. By giving them something like automated tax loss templates, you're not just adding value, you're showing profound empathy. You're sending a powerful, unspoken message that says, hey, we've already walked this path, we know what's coming, and we've already cleared the way for you. That builds a level of trust and perceived worth that a simple list of features could never, ever touch.
When we zoom out, it's easy to see that this isn't just a conversion tactic. It's really a philosophy for building a better, more human-centric business. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with the market, from pushing a product to pulling people toward a solution.
So as we wrap this up, what's the big takeaway? Well, value sequencing is where the cold, hard data of behavioral economics meets the warm reality of human relief. The numbers don't lie. This approach leads to higher conversions and lets you hold premium pricing. But the human truth behind it all is way simpler. We all just want to feel like we're making a smart choice. A perfectly architected sequence does more than just sell something. It provides proof. It proves that you're a brand that operates with precision, foresight, and most importantly, with empathy. It proves you're worth every penny and then some.
Because growth isn't linear, it's learned. It's the result of building a bridge of worth over that deep canyon of commodity. And the best marketing, the kind that builds brands that last, doesn't push people through a funnel. It pulls them irresistibly toward value.